I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of November 18th, 2015. A month away from Star Wars The Force Awakens opening. If anyone's playing along. So, what do we have this week? All kinds of cool stuff. Something for everybody. And just as a recap, we need to do a good job like comics do for first-time viewers of explaining who we are and why we're doing this and what it all means. So settle in, viewers. We're from a comic shop. It's called Alter Ego Comics. We're in Lima, Ohio. You should come see us because we like to talk to people about comics. And it's a pretty cool shop. An award-winning shop, by the way. We should throw that in. Toot our own horns.
Oh, okay.
Small Business of the Year.
Yeah, no.
2013. Okay, so my pick of the week is really was a joy to read, and it's Huck, #1 by Mark Millar and Raphael Albuquerque. At first, I thought, before reading this, I thought this was a play on Huckleberry Finn.
Right.
But it is not. And that's not a bad thing or a good thing. But basically, this is, I believe that it was billed as Man of Steel, but good. Where you have a Superman-like character who is a very simple person. We don't know where he came from. All we know, he was left on someone's front porch in a basket, said, please love him. And he was raised to do a good deed every day. And so you've got this guy who can fly, he's super fast, he's super strong, and he's, super morally straight and wants to do a good deed for people every day. So he does a good deed in his town every day. The townspeople know that he has these abilities, but they keep his secret because they love him and they want him to be around and help out. So what would happen if someone with not so pure motives discovers that this person is here and tries to capitalize on that? And that's what this first issue is about. Most of the first issue is about this guy doing good deeds and getting to know him and getting to know the townspeople. It is a feel-good story, which is desperately lacking in the comic book world and in our world in general, with all of the bad news and the just darkness that is around us every day. It's refreshing to, especially from Mark Millar, to get a feel-good story. And I'm crossing my fingers that the whole series is this way. He will break my heart if it turns dark at some point. But it was just a breath of fresh air in light of what's going on in the world to read this story that was fun, had great characters, and was a feel-good story. That's all I can really say about it. A feel-good story.
And I think Albuquerque's artwork had a lot to do
with
that.
Oh, yeah, I'd have to absolutely mention that. Albuquerque, who's the longtime artist on American Vampire, one of my favorite series, gets a chance to stretch his legs and draw happy people without fangs.
Yes, no one's getting eaten so far.
Highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure this is a mini. I'm not sure how many issues, but...
every Mark Millar book is a mini, one way or the other.
Every Mark Millar book has been sold as a screenplay prior to publication. But I would totally see this movie too. After one issue, I would see this movie.
My pick this week is #1 from Vertigo, Red Thorn, written by David Bale, with art by Megan Hetrick, and special thanks to Peter Gross and Mike Carey. Now, with Peter Gross, is that the father from Family Ties?
No,
that's Michael Gross.
Michael Gross.
But Mike Carey is.
Talk about that guy from Tremors.
Limbo's dad. No. Red Thorn is the story of a girl who's gone to a city in Europe to try and track down something that happened to her sister long ago. And it's driven by that mystery, but it's also kind of just a fun travelogue of this girl going around and meeting people and experiencing the city and stuff. And then it sets up a sort of mystical angle where things that she and possibly her sister draw come to life or affect the world around them. So it's a... And you meet, by the end of the issue, characters that are manipulating her or possibly her family. And you see that some of these simple people in these little, I guess it's not little, I think it's Edinburgh, so it's a big city. But in this European town are...
Free Scotland.
Yes. Are maybe aware of what's going on or maybe in cahoots with the darkness or with the dark figure. And yeah, it was really good. If you like mystical stuff like Lucifer or Sandman, this is a great pickup.
Next up for me, the long-awaited, 8 years in development, perhaps, Batman Europa, #1 of 4. This is a newish. It's a new miniseries from DC. And the premise is really cool, and I'm not sure what the delay was, but this has been talked about since 2008, roughly. So, 7 years, almost 8 years in the making. So here's the pitch. It's Batman and the Joker are both infected by a virus that's killing them by some unknown figure. And they discover this as the story progresses, and they have to work together to solve their dilemma of trying not to die. But this takes them throughout different cities in Europe, hence the name Europa. So it's kind of a buddy cop movie. Globetrotting, Batman and the Joker, best friends forever. And I didn't know what to expect. The only thing I was expecting was some awesome artwork, because Jim Lee returns to kind of sort of drawing Batman with this. He is penciling over Giuseppe Camicoli's layouts. So if you're an art person, perhaps you can figure out what that means. We're not sure what a layout is, whether it's a quick thumb sketch or whether that's rough sketches, and then Lee is fleshing those out.
And that probably varies from artist to artist how they work.
Colored by Lee's longtime colorist Alex Sinclair. So it does look like Jim Lee artwork for the most part, but the color palette is a little bit different. It's kind of a washed out, maybe watercolory look to it, which is fine. It's a beautiful book. It really is. The cover is outstanding as well, and I really dug the story too. It is Batman's voice, but it's Batman who maybe is high. I'm not sure. Maybe it's because he's dying. Maybe it's because he's infected. But the language seems a little flowery for Batman. Having said that, though, I really did enjoy it. I was pleasantly surprised, and it's only a 4-issue mini. You get to see Jim Lee pencils. You get a cool story with Batman and the Joker that's outside of continuity. It takes place, whenever, and it doesn't really matter.
And that's probably part of the delay. 2008. They may have already been set. It was delayed a certain amount, and then they were going to go to New 52, so you might as well hold it. Be. And now that the gates have broken and everything goes in the DC universe, they can bring it out.
Yeah, you want to read a cool Batman Joker team-up story with Jim Lee art? This is it.
If you don't, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, what is wrong?
Jim Lee, Batman, Joker. My next pick this week is Star-Lord #1, written by Sam Humphries with art by Monsieur Garin.
Victor Gagarin.
Javier Gagarin. And this is a origin story for Star-Lord, which may seem stupid until you realize that we don't actually have an origin story for Star-Lord. Star-Lord's first appearance was in the old black and white Marvel preview books. Marvel Premiere. Too many P books. That presents Premiere, preview. Marvel Premiere. Yes, all the P books. And it was set initially outside of Marvel continuity. It had no connections whatsoever. And so every time he comes a little closer to being in the universe, when they did the Thanos series back in the day, which was the first time we see Star-Lord kind of in the main continuity for the most part, they kind of washed over parts of his origins and changed parts of them. And then, of course, with each new iteration of Guardians, we get tweaks. And there were some tweaks when the movie came out. And the first volume of the Bendis stuff. So this kind of sets a definitive origin for Star-Lord that fits in with the universe. And I was actually surprised how much of the original origin they kept, because, as I said, it was way outside of what Marvel Comics was doing at that time and what Marvel Comics does in general. So it's heavily influenced by that, but it's still very fun, like the portrayal we get in the movie. Basically, Peter Quill, his mother gets killed by aliens when he's young, leaves him his father's element gun. And then he spends essentially the rest of his life wanting to go back to the stars. And that's kind of hard to do. We don't send a lot of people into space. This is the Marvel Universe, so they've got some stuff going on. The NASA has acquired a Kree warbird? Bird of prey? I don't know. Some Kree spaceship. But they haven't been able to figure out how to get it to work. And Peter is too much of a screw-up to be an actual astronaut. He's like a janitor or like a mechanic in the
there's
place.
Nothing wrong with it. No. I'm laughing, but... Nothing wrong with janitors.
No, there's nothing wrong with janitors. I'm just saying, Star-Lord
as long as you love your
doesn't
job.
have the discipline to be an astronaut. That's obvious.
Or really a janitor.
Right, he doesn't have the background. Don't you need like a PhD or something? It's crazy. Matt Damon couldn't be an astronaut. Let's just get that out right now. But Star-Lord #1 was great. Lots of fun. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, there's no reason not to check it out.
So we led off with announcing that Star Wars The Force Awakens opens a month from approximately today. Lots of Star Wars coolness this week, including Vader Down #1. This is a standalone. This is a one-shot that leads into a crossover between the Darth Vader series and the Star Wars series being published by Marvel. It's several issues. I don't remember how many.
It's the first part of a 6-part crossover.
There we go. Josh knows what we're talking about. Oh, look, it even says on the cover. Yes. So, Vader Down. This is super cool. So, written by Jason Aaron, who's writing the regular Star Wars book. Artwork by Mike Deodato, who traditionally does Avengers stuff and works with Bendis, so he gets to play in the Star Wars universe. And it's a definitely different art style than what we see from Stuart Immonen over on Star Wars and Salvador Larroca on Vader. And it's just incredible. To see these A-list artists taking on the Star Wars characters, for me, is half the battle right there. And they've won it, hands down. Vader is on his way to try and find Luke, because that's his mission now. And he flies right into a Rebel training session where there are tons of Rebel ships there and soldiers. He's actually above a Rebel outpost. So you get to see Darth Vader be a badass former Jedi, Sith Lord, and take out basically a couple different squadrons of Rebel fighters. Luke actually shows up on the scene. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but Vader Down means Vader gets shot down. Vader be down on the planet, but is also that's also home to a Rebel outpost. So that is where we are. It does feature Luke and Han and Leia and Chewbacca. They're all there. All your favorite characters are there. You should have, if you're buying,
unless your favorite character is Jar Jar, and
yeah,
he's not.
He's not there. He was on the episode of Clone Wars I watched last night, though.
I'm sorry.
I'm working my way through. Episode 8 of 121. Woo!
The Jar Jar episodes are the worst episodes of Clone Wars,
I actually didn't think it was that bad. And I'm watching it with my 6-year-old, so...
Oh, he probably, yeah.
He didn't say anything negative. Chuckle a few times. So Vader Down is a must read. I don't know why you wouldn't get it if you're reading the other Star Wars books. Also out this week, Star Wars number 12, written by Jason Aaron, artwork by Stuart Immonen, who may be my favorite Star Wars artist of all time. He does an amazing job. It's awesome. The coolest part about this is that Han, Leia, and Chewbacca get to wield lightsabers, so you should check that out. Also, in the Star Wars universe, Shattered Empire is available in trade paperback format. This is the 4-issue miniseries written by Greg Rucka, artwork by Marco Cicchetto, the team behind the awesome Punisher series from several years ago at Marvel. And so this takes place at the end of Return of the Jedi. We get introduced to some characters that more than likely will have some impact on the actual Force Awakens film. Some of the names are familiar already, even though we haven't seen the film. But this is supposed to be the first step on that journey towards the Force Awakens. So not only do you get the 4-issue miniseries, which is excellent, you also get the first issue of the Princess Leia miniseries, if you haven't read that. You also get the first issue of the original Marvel Star Wars series back from 1977 that was published before the movie came out. So a whole lot of awesomeness in this Shattered Empire trade paperback would make a great Christmas gift or other holiday gift for those on your list that are Star Wars fans.
And if you've never seen those original Marvel comics, the early ones especially are a cool checkout just because, like you said, they came out before the movie. So these are people reading the script and looking at concept art and then drawing from that. So we get things that don't necessarily look exactly like we expect. There's some bits that aren't in the movie that were in the script, and they're just a cool kind of Easter egg.
Well, and the talent behind this. Roy Thomas was the writer on this, who was writing a lot. He was basically Stan Lee's successor at Marvel. Right. And Howard Chaykin, who's gone on to some amazing creator-owned stuff, and his artwork has come a long way from what he was doing in Star Wars. I should mention one of the reasons that they put this in here is because they've remastered the Star Wars comics, the Star Wars adaptation, the Empire Strikes Back adaptation, and the Return of the Jedi adaptation that Marvel published back in the day, and those all three are available in deluxe hardcovers now, which would also make super cool Christmas gifts.
Yeah, they're the same pencils with new colors, and I was surprised how much better they look with new modern coloring techniques. All right, last up, I've got 2 quick hits for you. We've got Spider-Woman, written by Dennis Hopeless, with art by Javier Rodriguez. Everything in the Marvel Universe jumped 8 months, and apparently now Jessica Drew is like 8 months pregnant. It's the same creative team as the old one. It has the same sense of humor and fun. If you like the old one, you'll like this one. If you didn't check out the old one, here's your chance to jump in with an issue that tells you everything you need to know. And everything I just said applies to Ms. Marvel, except this time the names in question are G. Willow Wilson writing and someone Miyazaki, Takeshi Miyazaki. Mizakawa?
Alfana does the last 10 pages. They actually have it split in there.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I was surprised.
Surprised me. But yes, if you've been enjoying Ms. Marvel, same writer, no reason not to check it out. If you've not been enjoying Ms. Marvel, this gives you everything you need to know. And it also gives a kind of shift in what's going on in her world. We've seen her already with the Avengers, so she's gone from being a fangirl to being an actual A-list Marvel superhero, sort of. And there's also changes in her personal life, and it's great. This book's been awesome from issue 1. It's still awesome, and that is all. Makes a great gift for this holiday season.
I have to say, Ms. Marvel is, if you're not reading Ms. Marvel, you're hurting yourself. You may as well just cut yourself, because Ms. Marvel is incredibly awesome. It's very much, I would say, the Spider-Man of our time. You know, she's dealing with a lot of the same issues in different forms somehow that Peter Parker dealt with when he was first on the scene as Spider-Man. You've got a high school student who has some family stuff that she's dealing with. You know, she likes a certain boy who now is seeing somebody else. To me, Ms. Marvel is the most real of the Marvel books being published today. The characters aren't all... They're not drawn the way that traditional comic book characters are drawn. You've got all shapes and sizes, all colors, all genders. It's one of the best, if not the best book that Marvel's publishing right now.
Yeah, and with, you get the kind of immigrant experience, you know, the struggle she faces with her parents having come in from another country and having cultural differences.
Like Peter Parker. Oh, no.
No. Well, his parents were dead. We don't know.
I think his parents were S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. I don't remember.
Maybe. It'll change by next week.
Depends on what continuity you're reading.
Yeah.
So, kudos to Marvel. Actually, all around. Kudos all around. DC put out some great stuff this week. Marvel is continuing to bowl over everyone with their awesomeness. They've got great independent stuff, including Huck and Red Thorn. So, stop into your local comic shop and sample some of the awesomeness that is there. You got anything else? We should actually plan this. You know, we should script it out, or not script it out, because you don't like scripted stuff, right? You want to see us banter and
screw up.
Yeah, make mistakes, mispronounce people's names. But, you know, we were going for a little while asking questions, and I really have no questions at this point. All of my questions have been answered. You have any questions about being a homeowner?
I don't. No.
Okay. Okay.
Which of the Star Trek Starfleet captains would be most effective as Secretary of the Interior? In the comments below.
I have nowhere to go from there, so thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.